Hello and welcome to In the Pocket. My name's Jonny.
And my name's Chris.
Two totally average bass players, and we're here to talk all about that bass, as well as answering your questions at home. Each week we take a look at the latest news, maybe break down some tones, or to give you the lowdown on the low end. Today we are very lucky to be joined by a very special guest. He's played bass for Gorillaz, Yanis and the Yaw. His signature basses drop jaws to the floor, dropping wisdom that makes us feel good. He dares to create just like you should. His licks, his vibes are second to none. Give a warm welcome to Seye Adelekan.
Oh my goodness. That
Very
is
good.
like absolute perfection. Thank you so much. By far the best introduction I've ever had.
You can clip that at the end of and put that on like the front of any of your shows as you walk on music.
Mate, I'm putting that on my merch.
And we only want 30%.
Only.
It's all good. All good. Dude, thank you so much for joining us. We've been wanting to ask you for ages to come on. I've been super excited to have you because I've been following you on Instagram and seeing your journey for so long. And tis an honor to have you.
Man, I'm such a fan, so I'm happy to be here as well. I'm happy to chat about all things bass, all things music, all of these things that we have so much fun doing, you know?
Absolutely. And as we know, you are a multi-instrumentalist, one of those bastards who can do everything. God damn it. But, you know, and so good, releasing your own music at the moment as well. Fire Escape recently.
Yeah, it's the latest single, yeah.
I've had that chorus in my head for so long. And I was
great.
listening again today in preparation for this and was like, damn it. that is so good. So
thank you so much.
Damn you, man, but also damn you, you know?
Yeah.
So to get to know our guests, for those that might not be familiar with you, Seye, we like to ask kind of 3 intro questions that are meant to be quickfire, but they never end up being quickfire. So take as long as you need with these ones. I believe our friend Chris has them for you ready to go.
I'm ready to go. Seye, question 1.
Okay.
What is your number 1 bass?
I see why these take a long time.
Yeah.
So this is it's really hard for me. There's, but I would say maybe the bass that I've played the most and probably most known for is my Eastwood Guitars Classic 4 in green. It's kind of one of my main Gorillaz basses, and mine is heavily customized. It's got like cool Gorillaz like decals on it, and my volume and tone knobs are brass kind of molds, grass models of Murdoch's head from Gorillaz.
I never noticed that.
That's so cool.
It's very, very cool.
That. And how do you find that affects the upper mid-range response of the bass?
The brass. You see, copper actually at 30 hertz vibrates differently. No,
there'll be
my mind was being blown. Then I was like, oh shit.
Oh really?
There is someone.
Nod along and act like you know. Yeah.
Someone in the comments knows like the resonant frequency of brass. But that guitar with flat wounds is kind of just my favorite. It's also like, it's funny that the neck profile on that is like really thin, so it's quite jazz bass like, but it's shorter scale, but the body's really wide, but quite thin and hollow, so it's actually ticking quite a lot of weird boxes. The electronics aren't super complicated at all, and it's not a super expensive guitar either. I think it's $700 or something, $800, like off the rack. Like that's how it comes. So that's one of my favorites. I think in general, maybe this comes from self-deprecating, but my journey into bass wasn't very straightforward. So I'm quite attracted to odd basses, you know. I didn't come into bass playing like Jacko and stuff, so I got into the jazz. Or James Jamerson, you know, or you know, Pino like with a P bass or something, or even like anything like that. I kind of came in, I started playing guitar, and then I went into bass. So I've kind of always thought a little bit more unusually, maybe a bit more melodically, and a bit less technically. But so I kind of go for a guitar that just feels good, no pun intended.
Some pun intended.
Some,
Just a little
just
bit.
He's
some
got a
just
list of
happens.
these names off screen, ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I'd say my Green Eastwood Classic 4. Yes.
An excellent choice. Very cool bass. It has the it hits the term that I describe as vibe machine, where it's like you look at that and go, yeah, vibe
You know what?
machine.
I might actually have it right here. One second.
Oh my gosh. I really want to try one of these.
Yeah, I've never played one either. I've always it's such a cool looking bass, and they sound great. I've just never tried one.
Yeah, and we've looked at Eastwoods on this show before, like on the website, and been drooling over some of the ones that they produced.
Yeah,
but never
less the
actually-
headstock
Yeah.
designs, but there it is.
So, can you see Murdoch?
I can. That's cool.
Yeah,
That's very
it's
cool.
And so, like, the cigarette is coming out of his mouth, and when they're down, I know that I'm full up. Yeah. So
Murdoch
that
is down. Repeat. Murdoch is down.
That's when you're really smoking,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Route 666. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Very,
that's
very,
So is it
very,
just
very,
it's
very
just
cool.
volume and tone then on that. No,
That's it. Oh yeah.
Oh,
There's
a blend.
there's actually a third one there. Yeah. But like, so one pickup is silver, one pickup's gold, just because I think it comes with silver ones. And the gold one is on I've got a white one, which is my spare. And I think one of the pickups just died. So my tech, this is what we Frankensteined it. But I think it looks even cooler having one gold and one silver as well.
Hell yeah.
But stock pickups. Yeah.
Very,
Nice.
very nice. Following on from that, we'll do our second quick fire question. We just want you to describe your bass playing in 3 words, and we do mean 3. So choose your words very carefully at this point. And there's a joke coming up that I feel like I'm going to end up doing because I do it every episode.
That's one.
Oh, you beat me to it. Every episode, it's the same joke. I'm so sorry, everyone.
2. Melodic. Straightforward.
Ooh,
Interesting.
I don't think we've had a straightforward before. Yeah. Elaborate on straightforward.
So, I think I don't do anything that anybody can look at and be like how the fuck do you do that? You know, it's not anything super out there. You know, the techniques I use. Like I play with my thumb a lot, and sometimes I do some like rolling with these fingers, like like a gallop or something. Which can maybe be a little bit technical, but it's like everything I do is just really basic stuff, but just having been done for a very long time. So I do it with confidence and I do it well, you know, but it's not anything, you know, I'm not doing any Victor Wooten kind of brain, like breaking laws of physics. Like nothing I do is that kind of wild. But yeah, so I'd say my playing, I think, is in general quite melodic, pretty straightforward, but very interesting.
It's refreshing to hear someone describe like they're playing so honestly like that. I mean, we're so self-deprecating, and so like, I mean, being a British bass player, that's the most self-deprecating thing you could be.
Oh yeah, God, you've got if you're a bass player from Britain, you have apps. How dare you think that anything you've ever done is good? You stand behind the drummer, stand behind your 810. Pathetic.
We say at the start of every episode to average bass players because we don't consider ourselves to be like these crazy players and like the really show offy. And I think often the show offish stuff just isn't usable in a lot of contexts, and certainly with what you're doing, like, and that interesting and melodic is actually kind of more important because it's like that knowledge of the song and how it fits in.
Yeah, I think that's way more important. And actually, most players aren't. Those big flashy, like the extreme ends are, you know, those really big flashy players, or someone who's really, really, really bad. And it's like most people exist somewhere in the middle. And actually, if you're just like in the upper middle bit, you probably can have a career. And actually, what you'll find is that you might be the best player in the world, but if you're a douchebag, it doesn't matter because no one wants to give you gigs.
That's what I keep telling Chris.
Yeah, that's where I'm going wrong. Thanks, Johnny. Thanks for that. Appreciate you. It's true though. I know players in my sort of scene in terms of like the industry I work in as bass players who are so much better than me in terms of like just everything. Like I'm okay at slap bass. So
nice.
anything, okay, like, and I really do mean like I can do it. Don't ask me to do anything flashy. It's like I can give you the noise the thumb's supposed to make, and I can do the pop. I can't do any of the ghost notes, the left hand tapping part, all these kind of bits. And I've got players who can do all that, really percussive, amazing players. And I somehow find myself getting more work over these people, and they ask me, and I go, "You're just a bit of a knobhead, to be honest with you." Which is hilarious because I just think I'm an absolute pain in the arse. But
I thought you were going to say because you think you're an absolute legend.
No, yeah. I didn't want to.
It's hard being a legend sometimes because everyone else is an asshole.
Exactly. No, my opinion of myself is not that high, not even close. But no, it's true though. It's like because I do like to ask people who've like offered me a lot of repeat work, like the same sort of couple of bands. I will ask them from time to time, being like, "Why do you like not to shoot myself in the foot, but like, why do you ask me back all the time?" And the stereotype really is true. A lot of them will go, "You're just all right." Like, you know, like you're not like you're just all right. I'd practice a bit more, but you know, like, yeah,
but I think you're
got to
right.
hang around with people for hours at a time. It's like, you just sound you're all right to be around
days at a time and months at a time potentially, and it's like actually. Obviously, you have to be able to play to a certain level. Like, so,
that's a given. You've got everyone's got to be able to play the material. That just gets your foot in the door. It's everything else that lets you like keep the gig. Like you could have been like the technically or sound wise like the perfect player for like Gorillaz or something. But if you got like 2 dates into a tour and everyone's like. Cannot stand Cher. Like you're going home. You're going home. And someone else will be there the next day. Guarantee it.
It just costs too much. Not necessarily in terms of money, but in terms of energy. Energy. It actually costs quite a lot to tour, especially when you're touring like we do when we're on the road. It's like kind of 18 months commitment and. It's a lot of traveling and it's a lot of being tired. It's a lot of super high energy gigs. It's a lot of work. The gigs, I mean, we're probably going to get into all this a bit more later, but my friend Gareth Chan, like I always quote him because he said this to me, and it's your hard skills get you the job, but your soft skills keeps it. And it's like, playing the song is like all well and good, but actually, how are you turning up to things on time? Are you remembering people's names? Are you looking people in the eye? Are you kind? Are you respectful of people? Are you not being weird around the girls? Are you minding your manners? Are you offering people a cup of tea? Are you sending invoices in on time? Are you replying to emails on time? Are you checking the master tour or something to make sure you know what time lobby call is? Sometimes
you're there for that on time as well. And
are you there for that on time? Have you checked out? Have you paid for your hotel room bill, or did you let them charge the MasterCard? Like, did you let them charge the band or the artist? Which is a whole other thing.
Yeah, that's you get curly finger off the tour manager being like,
literally.
What happened to all those Pepsi Maxes the other day?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And also,
what are these movies on your?
Yeah. Wow.
Did we're not going to read them out loud. Of them?
Yeah. What?
I've seen that
this
one.
American ain anyway.
Yeah.
Also, another one that I think is a good one to mention. How are you in a crisis? Because I know loads of people that when stuff goes wrong, they just flip the lid, or they just can't. They're either angry about the situation, or they just internally just collapse. It's like it could be literally anything. Traffic, as simple as traffic, and people are in the car raging because like we're going to be late for sound check now. And then there's the other people who go, no worries, we're going to ring ahead and say this has happened. We left enough time, but you know, if a lorry flips over on the M6, a lorry flips over on the M6. There's no other way around it. And it's like, right, well, what can we do? Can we, you know, what can we be doing? Or sometimes I've had plenty of gigs where I've been so late to setting up for things. I've just had to walk in, put my equipment down. There's already an XLR ready for me for the pedal board.
Yeah.
Bass goes on. It's like, right, we're just gonna start now. It's 8 o'clock. You know, that kind of thing.
Because that's, you know, things do happen, but you have to do what you can to rectify it. And also, it's that's, you know, if you're traveling with a tour manager, it's their job to lose it if need be. But you know, a great tour manager will just keep things together, all the time. And you sort of kicking off, etc., is only going to add to what is already a stressful situation.
No, because then of course, because now that tour manager has got to deal with Shay's upset. I've got to make sure Shay's okay. But
and the delayed flight.
We still got the problem with the car now, you know, like or whatever.
Exactly.
It's like, or the flight or whatever. Whereas you are right, like a good tour manager is almost like a professional babysitter in a really good way, though.
Exactly, and makes you not feel crazy, because you will get upset and you will get angry, and maybe this is like, I remember we were touring, it was 2022, so that summer when like there was all the sort of security strikes, like all the airports around Europe were absolutely mashed up, and it was just COVID was still kind of knocking about, and things were just starting to open, but there was all those delays everywhere, and we were in Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam, and it's a good airport, but it's so busy, and we got there, and the queue to get to security, not like anything else. We were in it for 2.5 hours. Like it snaked outside of the building, around the car park, like, and there was just thousands and thousands of people just shuffling. It didn't matter whether you were first class or whatever. Like it was just like this carnage, like that vibe, and we just had to. I mean, I think actually everybody showed character in that moment, because nobody was like crying on the floor, like, you know, well, screw this, I'm gonna like get my own flight or something. Just like everyone was in the same boat. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'll walk home. It was like, okay, you know, you just have to deal with it. Tour manager tried everything under the book. Like, you know, you never want to say, do you know who I am, or do you know who we are, or anything. The tour manager says that stuff because that sometimes works. Like that's really, really
sometimes,
ever to say.
yeah, no.
But we tried all that stuff, didn't work, so we just had to firm it, and we still made our flight. Just, you know, because everything was pushed back and delayed. But you know, if we were all kicking off as well, that would have been horrendous, not just for us, but for like all the thousands of people who are also in the same position.
Just doesn't help, does it? It's not like you complaining isn't going to get anyone anywhere. And that's a great quote. Like, hard skills get you the gig, soft skills get you the gig. Like that's
that.
I'm keeping that one.
I'm keeping that one.
Big up Gareth Chen.
Yeah, absolutely. Gareth, if you're free, come on and just say the quote again. Absolutely. So the last one, the quickfire questions that are actually never quickfire questions. We should
20 minutes later.
Genuinely, we had Scott from Scott's Bass Lessons on, and me and Scott just went full ADHD and just spoke like ridiculously over everything.
Scott the glove.
The glove meister himself. Yeah, there's two glove people. There's MJ and Scott. Both from Cumbria, funnily enough. That's not true.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So the last intro question is really the most important one. Like, why did you pick up the bass?
It's also quite an interesting one, because I did start playing guitar in terms of stringed instruments. I started playing the guitar first. My dad taught me a few chords, and I was really into sort of just skate punk and sort of 90s indie pop punk and stuff, and metal, and I grew up in the church, so I was also into like alternative Christian rock. So it was like I was playing stuff like that, and like getting tabs, and you know, Guitar Magazine, etc. But my brother Benga, who's another great bass player, he's plays bass in Metronomy. he was learning bass, and he had a bass, and he also plays with a really interesting. He's played very interestingly. He played lots of chords and was always making like these interesting like minor like 9 chord shapes and like all of these interesting things that I'd never seen even on guitar. So I was kind of taking those ideas, applying them to guitar. But I'd always jump on his bass and just be playing, and I always found myself expressing quite easily on the bass. I could write songs on the guitar, but in terms of like really sort of the shortest distance between an idea and it being happened when I picked up the bass. And my first pro gigs, I started playing with a guy called Jeremy Walmsley, playing bass in his band first tour, which was back in 2006. It's a small indie toilet tour, toilet tours plural.
Been there.
Yeah, exactly. The first gig was like Lincoln Town Hall to like 3 people. And I thought I was just living the like 50 quid a week, maybe, I think we were making. It was great. But that led on to the next gig, which led on to the next gig, which led on to kind of me meeting like Damon Albarn. But he kind of knew me for playing guitar and bass. And then I joined his solo band, his Everyday Robots band, playing guitar on that album stuff. But then when we played all his back catalogue stuff, I jumped on the bass. And he heard me. He was just like, mate, you're really expressing yourself on that instrument, which kind of just gave me another boost in that direction, being like, maybe I'm sort of a bass player in a guitarist body sort of thing. And it kind of blossomed even more from there, because I'd say I was probably doing 60% guitar and 40% bass gigs at the time. But then when I started playing with D, it flipped, and it was like, and now it's almost like 90% one of the other,
Yeah. And at what point did you meet him? And was this before the Paloma gig and the Lana Del Rey gig, or was this much later down the line?
This was after Paloma. This was 2012 when I met Damon. So I had a solo record deal around the time, and so I'd opened for Lana Del Rey. I think it says somewhere that I had played with her, but actually I opened for her on tour around the UK and Europe. And actually just after that tour, Damon he has this project called Africa Express, which is where he gets sort of African musicians and Western musicians and puts them together and puts on gigs or goes somewhere cool and makes a record, and it was the 2012 Olympics in 2012. And so we chartered a train, went around the UK, like it was 85 musicians going around on this train, and it was crazy. It was everything from like I was on there, Rizzle Kicks, Temper Trap, but then Tony Allen, John Paul Jones from Zeppelin, Baseku Kiate. It's like just the cast list was unbelievable. And so through like sort of my label and stuff, I think I kind of just got recommended to go on this thing, and so I just got a chance. But while on that, in that crew, you can sort of offer your song and be like, oh, I'd like to perform my song with, say, I'd like to add a Congolese percussion section and John Paul Jones on mandolin, or and Damon on Wurlitzer. You can do that, and you ask the organizers. They see if they can get you a rehearsal space and half an hour with everyone at the same time, and you just do that during the day, and then you go on stage and you play these 4-hour gigs, and they just we kind of make it happen. You sort of turn up a day before this gig and no one's got any music to perform, and we always make it happen. I've done it a few times now, and it's cool. We did it last year in Mexico at a festival, and it was we like landed Thursday, had Friday to rehearse, and then Saturday played a 4 or 5 hour gig, like closing this festival stage.
That's so cool.
It's cool. It's cool. Terrifying, but it's also.
I'm totally picturing just being in a rehearsal space with John Paul Jones and being like, John, stop fucking up the bridge. Like
he was
it's
on
an E flat.
when I say mandolin, he just was playing mandolin the whole time. He just wanted, that's where he was at, and he just wanted to do that. But there was no segregation. There was no like us and them. It was like everybody was in it together. And so I just got involved. I've been touring for a while and I didn't have any voice, so I didn't perform any of my songs. And also I think my deal was kind of collapsing, and so I was a bit depressed. But I was just like, I just want to play with as many people as possible. So whenever there was a jam, I'd just grab guitar, get involved. If there was someone who needed a bass player, I'd jump on. If like even happened where like just before playing, someone pulled out, like a bass player pulled out of one performance, so I'd like offer my services 5 minutes before going on stage, just put the AirPod in, or the iPod in rather, quickly try and learn the song, go on stage, make it happen, warts and all, you know. I think Damon, we just got on musically. We just loved jamming with each other. He saw my enthusiasm with other people, and you know, Tony Allen, who's you know, God rest his soul, but one of the best drummers ever. He's very picky about bass players, and he kicks you off the bass if he doesn't like you and he's playing with you. He would just do that, and he never kicked me off. So, and Damon respects Tony. So, you know, they were in a band together, so that was also a big boon. He's also a fellow Nigerian. So yeah, and then after that, it got to the end of that tour, and it was the show in London, and Sir Paul McCartney played with us, and Damon asked me to play with them while they played, which is really great. Talking about melodic bass players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
First
like,
name on the door. Yeah.
He's one of my favorites. He's in the sort of, yeah, like you don't really think, a lot of people don't think of him as one of the great bass players, but you even watch him, the performances of the Beatles and the stuff that he's singing and playing, and it's just like, you're playing both. It's just crazy. You're doing both as if you're only doing one of them. And it's
trust me, as someone who has to play, I saw her standing there. Like how like that if you want to get good at like down picking or fast picking, I saw her standing there is like Master of Puppets before Master of Puppets. It's insane. And you're trying to sing the problematic opening lyric, but you're just trying to sing it going like like, oh my god,
It literally sounds like a metal song when you do it.
Seriously, Johnny, go learn it and come back to me 3 minutes later. You'll be like, oh my god. But
that might be my next space cover. But yeah, so after doing that, and so that went well, he invited me to Mali to make an Africa Express record with them, and then he was doing his solo band, Everyday Robots tour. A band called the Heavy Seas. So we did that for like a year or so, and then he said he was doing a new Gorillaz record, and he needed a new band or some new band members, and he invited me, and I've been playing with him ever since.
Cool.
And how did I'd love to
Chris.
know. Obviously, you sounds like you already knew Damon like quite well at this point. How did that transition into Gorillaz? Specifically, what I want to know is, did the relationship with Damon just get you the gig based off that, or was it more of a, okay, yeah, well, I know you, so you can audition, but you still didn't have the gig? How did that?
No, it was it. So when we were doing Everyday Robots, because it was Damon's solo as opposed to a Gorillaz or Blur, whatever, we got to play songs from his entire back catalogue. So we'd play his current album at the time, Everyday Robots, but then we'd play Blur songs, we'd play Good, the Bad, the Queen songs, we'd play Gorillaz songs, we'd play Rocket Juice to the Moon songs. I think we even touched some stuff from one of his operas, you know, like, so he got to see, that tour was basically a 1.5 year long audition, because he got to see me play like hundreds of different kinds of songs and different styles, and the way I'd perform in like really big moments, the way I'd perform in really somber moments, and I could do backing vocals as well. And we had different backing singers in different places. Like in Australia, we had different singers, and I would volunteer to help out with like helping them with arrangements because we didn't have much time and all of this stuff. So he got a really good idea of who I was.
Soft skills.
Soft skills, exactly. But also I got to. Yeah, we also played a lot. We played a bunch of Gorillaz songs, and it always went down really well. So he knew that I could throw down with those songs. So it was then he offered it me. I didn't audition. He was like, "Do you want to, upgrade?"
And you were like,
"Yes."
Let me think.
I'll
get back to you.
Yeah, my people will talk to your people.
Yeah, it just said red. I was just like, "I'll come back to you."
Yeah, two ticks.
Yeah. What happened is he saw you had a flying V and was like, "Yeah, that's sick."
No, the V. I think the V came after I got Gorillaz. I was
you're like, now's the time.
Oh yeah,
literally,
the V is non-negotiable. Like if I like did a Gorillaz, I don't know, depth to Gorillaz gig, but like, Chris, why have you just spent £2,000 on a Gibson Flying V bass when you're getting paid like 300 quid for the gig? I feel like
it's actually an Eastwood. It's actually an Eastwood Flying V. It's not a Gibbo. It's not a Gibbo. And actually, but I don't think they even make it anymore. I don't think they make it anymore.
Me and Johnny have got a track record of not speaking particularly highly of Gibson on this podcast. Because they just don't care about anything anymore.
That's fine. I'm not that bothered either.
No, not really.
Well, things we do speak highly of, though, is our Patreon supporters. I'll take this segment. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, particularly our Tier 3 membership, which gains you access to the bonus episode that will come after this. We're going to be answering your questions directly to the man himself, Seye. And we're also doing a giveaway. I've actually already packed the pedal in its box, ready to go out to one of you. I wish I could have it here, but it's
efficient.
It's so hot and fresh. Yeah, it's ready to go. Don't mess about. We're giving away a meat box, so one of you can have fun with my meat box.
Oh, yeah.
I'll let that sit there. So it's an incredible synthy octave pedal. Loads of fun. You can melt as many faces as you want with that thing. So make sure you go and join our Tier 3 membership. That's patreon.com/In the Pocket podcast. Now, it is tradition now that I have to read through give our Tier 3 members a shout out and butcher all of their names in the process. So bear with me, lads. I'm just going to absolutely ruin this and ruin some people's days.
It's cool.
So here we go.
For it. Yep.
Kim Lidman, Frank Bethel, Sam Martins, Travis Williams, Thomas Deans, Kaddish D. Radish, Michael Grandjean, Dan Granham, Eric Mullinew. God, it's going well, boys. It's going well. Ryan Badarek, Charles Johnson, Dean Gordon, Dowell Hazelhurst Stevens, Duncan Watson, Emily Gonzalez, Alan Wadey, Alan Sean. I'm going to cut this up at any minute, I swear. Chris Morgan, Rob Bisbee, Ethan Eichhorn, Justin A, Jonas on bass, Joost Kroon, Mark W, and Brett Linkowski. Thank you so much, everyone. And
can I just interject and say that I think all of those names sounded like amazing bass players. Like, sound like legendary players, that you sort of heard of. Like, if anybody said that, that they played on that record, I'd been like, sure.
Yeah.
I'd have lied. I'd have fully lied.
Yeah, that's the guy who Jacko used to have lessons from. Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah. It was 63. Yeah.
I remember it well. Yeah, my 1949 jazz bass. Yeah.
Owned by Ethan Eichhorn. Oh, wow. Incredible.
Ethan's got the best surname there, I think.
Eichhorn. Massive.
Hey, and Ike Amps, maybe that's his brand. I don't know. Maybe it is.
Maybe.
Ethan, let us know, please.
Hit us up. Link in bio.
But yeah, thank you so much to all Tier 3 patrons. If you want to become one of those lovely people and get a shout out on the show, make sure you click the links down in the descriptions. Or if you're listening on your podcast listening platform of choice, then there'll be a description somewhere on the screen where you can click the link and sign up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone. Shay, I've got to ask, before we talk about some basses, me and Johnny have what I can only describe as a generational question. Like, arguably the most important question I think I could ever possibly ask someone ever.
Okay.
What's your perfect Sunday? No, just kidding. No. What's it like playing Feel Good Inc. live?
Okay. One thing I can say is it never gets old. I must have now played it, probably hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times since 2012, 2013. It's been a lot, and I can say it feels good. It's also that I play that on my Flying V, so it's also always fun to play that guitar. I get to use my hip shot because it's an E flat, so I would just drop it. But I don't tune the rest of the guitar. I just tune that note to E flat. But funny story, like I think on our last US tour, my normal tech couldn't make the like Canadian bit or something, or our first show or two, so we had to like last minute find someone, and I think they knew like Bon Jovi's guy or something was in town, so he just turned up and like had a day to like do the gig.
Just some guy.
Yeah, just some guy. And he could see, like I have like, we go through the set list before the show, and it's just like, okay, so this says, drop D, or this one's to D, E flat, standard, whatever. And I get the guitar for like Feel Good, or I think was it Feel Good, yeah. And it said E flat, but the whole thing, it was E flat standard basically, as opposed to you drop the whole guitar down a half step. So we did. It was the main riff is fine, bum 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 bum. I do that all on the E flat string. But then when it got to the windmill, father, I just like started playing all these mad notes. So I was just like, what is actually going on? And then I worked it out, and I was just like, he's just like, and he also realized, he just went like that. But yeah, it's a generational tune.
I was sorry, go on. I'll just quickly dive in. I was going to say, I've just had this thought. It's the chain for anyone born after like 1990 something.
Yeah,
true.
It's one of the first bass lines that I like noticed, and was like, oh my gosh, what is that?
Same.
Penetrating my face. Oh, that sounded bad.
Yeah, wow.
But
and
I liked it in a very good way.
Good. No shame in that. It is weird because it's 25 years of Gorillaz this year. They've been together, been out, the first record came out in the year 2000. And I was 12. So it's really weird sort of being a fan. It's still weird being a fan of a band when I was younger and seeing all these cool videos and hearing these cool songs. And now being able to sort of be a part of it live, it's pretty special.
Yeah,
absolutely. Totally imagine, yeah.
Speaking of things that are pretty special, I want to talk about your signature basses now, because my God, have you got some taste, sir? Let's start off with, I want to talk about the Baum, the Thunder. That is what it's called, isn't it? Thunder.
The Thunder. Yeah. We did the pink Thunder for the last Gorillaz tour, which was amazing. And that one is actually really, Baum in general, they make just the highest quality instruments. They're really, really lovely people, by the way. But on top of that, they're really enthusiastic about design and how things really work. When things come from like the factory, everyone on the floor, when they're actually in the studio, they check every single guitar. They set up every single guitar before they set it out. If something doesn't meet their standards, they do not send it to people. They have a whole line, I can't remember what it's called, where they basically take parts of guitars that didn't meet certain standards and reuse them and turn them into new guitars. So it's a really cool way of like sort of zero waste and just like repurposing things. But yeah, the Pink Thunder, number one, it looks outrageous, and they hadn't done anything like that before, and I hadn't done anything like that before. But I was just like, it'd be cool to have a lightning bolt scratch plate, and then we put a lightning bolt as the 12th fret inlay, which is just
nice.
Tasty. Starts at the 11th, ends at the 13th. It's just it's great. And it's got a single like jazz pickup.
It's just so cool. That and where is that kind of in the P position, but it's the single call jazz pick.
Yeah, Yeah, and it's really quite spanky. I don't know how else to sort of describe it.
No, yeah.
It's really really spanky, especially with rounds on the which. So I use it for anything that's quite punky, anything that's really bright. There's a song off the last album that Thundercat played on, and when we play it live without him, we've played it with him a few times, which is pretty unbelievable. Yeah, his bass is really loud. That his signature. It's like,
is it?
It's like these two of the most active. It's like the most active thing I've ever heard. It's really, but it's and he plays it like an absolute machine. But it's just like wow. Yeah, maybe it's just also the volume of notes. Love him though. Yeah, so I that guitar can kind of do a little bit of that sound, even though it's passive. But it's like I drop tune it and it sounds really, really, really great. But I do have a new version of the Thunder bass coming out with Baum, because it's their 10-year anniversary this year, and they're doing a whole range of really cool, sort of. I think the color is called Dark Moon or something. I think it's called Dark Moon. So yeah, there's like a Thunder bass that's like in this sort of darker, more sort of, I think just a bit more practical color. I always wanted to do a bass with them that was a little bit more widely sort of useful, because the pink bass is amazing, but it's very specific. You can't really use that on any gig. Don't really want to play that in like O'Neill's on a Friday night.
Oh, I do.
There's no rules.
I do.
That's actually maybe that's actually the most appropriate place. But yeah, so I'm really excited. This time it does have two pickups, so it has two like jazz pickups basically in it, but it's the same controls, very simple. Because I'm really really big fan. I don't really like having loads of switches. I don't like having loads of pots. I don't, and also I never mess with the tone knob really. In fact, I don't ever. I always turn up to 4 on everything, and I change the tone with my fingers or my thumb or pick or the kind of strings. My amp is pretty much always set to just 12 o'clock, like treble, bass, like everything, and then you get what you get from me on the day, and then I use a few pedals, but I'm not using loads and loads of stuff. So yeah, that the new one is even more versatile than the old one, and I think lots of people are going to like it.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't even heard it, and I like it. Like this thing is just, it's almost a crime how cool it is, really, because the pink one with the lightning bolt is obviously outlandish and like gets you in the face. But then you see the what's the color called again?
Dark Moon.
Dark Moon version, and everything just comes together so nicely.
Can I guess what color Dark Moon is without seeing it? Because I have not seen the colour of Dark Moon. It's got to be like a purpley colour? Dark Moon?
No.
No. Green?
No,
because that's not, the moon isn't green. The moon,
we can keep going, Chris.
I'll try one more. Okay, Dark Moon. No, what colour is it? Oh, we're doing a screenshot. Okay. Oh, that's so. Yeah, ignore me. That's much better. Okay. Yeah.
It's and I actually have a suit to match.
Oh, nice. Also, I'm so stupid. I have seen this bass before.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure I said.
I'm pretty sure I've seen this. I just didn't realize we were talking about this bass.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so nice. You look all right too, Shay. But the bass is very nice. Yeah.
And I just think it's got, obviously the lightning bolt's still there. It's got pizzazz still, but you can kind of be a bit quieter with it, literally, but also just like in the vibe, it can suit kind of whoever plays it a bit more. Whereas I think I was imposing the pinkness on people a bit with the other one. You had to get involved. This time you can go as crazy as you want.
I'd play that at a work gig, 100%. I think that would look great in a wedding band. Like, just enough like pizzazz to get out there, but also kind of like not getting in the way.
Yeah, someone
Love
would do
it.
a double take. I'd be like, oh,
Like, is that a lightning bolt?
Exactly. And then
Just
you
put
get
that-
somebody's
just put it
number,
wrong.
and then it's game over.
Oh yeah, that doesn't work. No, trust me. I usually just go back to my car and put a podcast on and cry on the way home. Anyway,
Nice.
Have a
so
little cry. The next one, of course, is your is the Eastwood signature as well.
Yes, I think I've got one of those here.
Yes, please. I think this might have been one of my early introductions to you as well, Shay. And I was like, oh, it's this guy when I saw this bass, because it was just so up my alley. And I'm not a 5-string player. And I think I've heard you say before that it's kind of more like 4-string spacing, or it's tight string spacing, isn't it? Oh,
Yeah, it is
God.
pretty tight string spacing, and it's actually comes with a very, very, like the gauge is quite light. Like it comes. I think it starts at. Oh, I can't even remember. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's really, really quite light. So it does have 4-string energy, if you ask me.
same.
Like, and I love that because again, like you, I didn't come up playing 5 strings. I also, up until quite recently, had quite a prejudice towards 5 strings because there are a lot of sort of not very tasteful 5-string players. They're like lots of just like really brash, really loud, really sort of just overplaying kind of horrible tones. You know, there's lots of that in the 5-string world, but that kind of also that blinded me to a lot of the good 5-string playing, and of which I already didn't like, and even some of the playing I didn't even know I liked. And you go see any pop band, any great one, there's quite likely going to be a 5-string in the band. And so actually it was me just holding on to some stupid teenage tribal like dumb stuff, and I'm grown. You have to be able to adapt. And then I got a gig, you know, last summer I was playing with a Japanese singer called Hikaru Utada, who's amazing Japanese artist. But that's like it's a pop gig, you know, and I haven't done something like as kind of sort of like that for a minute. And I had to play synth bass, and I required a 5, and I didn't play 5. So I actually went to Eastwood to ask for if they had a spare classic 4, like just in the factory, just somewhere, like one that was maybe a bit beaten up or something. But I could even go to Bass Gallery and experiment and ask them to convert it into a 5. We were gonna like saw the nut down and just add a 5th string. You know, I started chatting to them about it, so I asked, and they were just like, "Why don't we build you one?" I was like, "All right."
Go on,
Yeah,
then.
I guess if you want, yeah,
Yeah,
whatever,
cool.
whatever.
And so we did, and yeah, but they didn't make loads. They made 25. I took 2, and they sold the rest. So, and they just re-upped the stock. So it's pretty. That's also very special. That this has actually turned out to be quite a practical instrument. It's also like, it's for me again very simple. And yeah, stealth black, you know, matte black with, you know, gold, which I think is really classy. And yeah, I think with flats, it's pretty great.
Yeah, it's screaming for flats like that, and not often you get a flats 5-string semi-hollow, you know. So
No.
it's just so unique, whilst not being outlandish and keeping it simple and classic and traditional, like you said, keeping it classy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
It's
I'm
got
really,
that
really.
when you play it acoustically, it's got that like kind of like double bass energy as well, which is quite
It
nice.
really does.
Kind of hear that kind of that almost like woody sound you can hear of like the flats against the fretboard. Like, yeah, it's cool. It's a cool bass. It's a very cool bass.
It kind of does that.
It's got that.
bombing there.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in LA Noir. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
shall we hear it in its full glory and move on to our next segment? It's a segment we haven't was going to say we haven't done it in a hot minute, but we literally did it last week, Chris, didn't we?
We did. We did it. We did it so well that we forgot to actually put it in the episode properly.
Oh,
whoops!
But we won't forget this time. This is the section called "That Tone You Own." Seye has brought along the sound of that very bass, and we're going to have a listen to it right now, and then break it down a little more. Let's have a listen. You know what? I was expecting to love that, and I don't know why I was surprised how much I loved it. You know, I was like, "This is going to sound amazing." Oh, it sounds amazing. You know.
Okay, that's a really good review.
Yeah.
I think it's a funny. I was trying to approach that a bit like Fleetwood Mac in a way. There was some like a that sort of feel I wanted to get. I think that song Messy's great. And actually that again, it's quite a simple thing. I just plugged into just at home, I just got a Scarlett, what's it called? 8i6, into Logic. But I love the SVT, the Ampeg SVT sort of suite, SVT suite it's called, which I use all the time on lots of things that I'm asked to like remote record. It's got great heads in it, and you can really go turbo nerdy on like which input on the amp you're using and like all of this stuff. It's so cool. Mic placement, but within the and I've got a few artist presets on the SVT suite, which is pretty cool. But I just kept it standard for this. But you can also no,
don't be silly.
Zero money. But there's something
negative money.
Yeah, exactly. There's something cool. They got great pedals in there as well. So I think you're hearing also a little bit of the compressor that's on there. And just like that guitar is so simple and warm and kind of, especially with the way I play it sometimes, especially with the thumb, like I think I am on that. It's quite dubby, which again, kind of one of the reasons why I like the Classic 4 and my Classic 5 as well with rounds is that, in particular with say Gorillaz, for example, I need to do quite dubby stuff quite often, because there's lots of dub reggae kind of influence, but then I also need to go quite gnarly, sort of punky. So actually being able to get that thud from the sort of thumb when I need it, and then also be able to dig in and go a bit crazy, which is why I like that it's simple, like passive with very few controls. I think the pickups aren't in like my Classic 4, they're knackered, like the wiring's a bit knackered. It's kind of, it needs to not be too posh to really, to give it that.
It's not very rock and roll if it's too posh,
No,
it's gotta be
like you can't have too much binding. Do you know what I mean? You can't have like if any more than 3 kind of knobs, you've lost it.
That's what we've got here today.
And
I'm kind of knackered, so
Yeah, I just love it. And do you find with your playing style using your thumb, you said you use like compression. Are you finding that you have to use compression all the time to keep that kind of consistent, or
I do have it. I do in general have compression always on. The Cali 76 is now become my can't really live without. Even though for Gorillaz on the board I have there, so I haven't done a Gorillaz show since getting that pedal and getting into the Helix, the HX Stomp stuff. I actually have like a Boss ME80 is like on my Gorillaz rig, and which I use as like stomp boxes. So I've got kind of just like I've got my trem, I've got my distortion, I've got my auto wah, my reverb, my delay, weird octave thing, and just like that's how I do it with that, and a compressor that's always on, which is kind of modeled after Boss something,
CE something. But I forgot the name of it. Yeah,
exactly. Another classic, that sort of just works on everything. So, but I'll be intrigued the next time we do things. I'm gonna bring my current rig, which is so it's like a Cali 76. I've got like a Dunlop wah / volume pedal, TC electronic tuner into a Cali 76 compressor, into an HX Stomp, into Origin Effects bass rig super vintage.
Yeah. What a pedal.
Killer.
On the
Yeah,
wall
there she
behind
is.
me. There she
There
is.
she
There it
is.
is. There
What
it
a
is.
rig as well. Like that's such a find me a gig you can't do with that setup.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, find me a gig you can't do with just like a HX Stomp, to be honest.
Yeah.
But like, yeah.
It's fast becoming that's the case. I think one of the lads from Scott's, I can't remember. Excuse me.
Johnny, just who's that?
Oh, was there
I
noise?
think that might have been
Yeah.
you, yeah.
Oh,
Something unplugged or something.
thunk. Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
like, hey, look, this is this. But I
There
just
it is.
Ruin the podcast
Yeah,
instead.
just spoil everything, mate. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
And
just
yeah, the
unplug
HX
everything.
Stomp, yeah, it's like you see them everywhere. It's like that,
Yeah.
and they've got a Noble DI at the end. Or Jad Freya. Like, yeah. There it is. Let me just get mine. No, sorry. I don't own one.
There's the Noble. Oh my gosh, it's a Noble, and I guess in the HX Stomp, I think they've done like a kind of a Noble kind of model as well,
They have, yeah.
It's so good. It's
which
so
apparently
good.
is good. Yeah, I haven't actually played through it, but lots of my friends have been saying that it's actually pretty great. And I guess you don't have to queue for like 3 years to get that.
No.
Yeah.
I just downloaded I've got a Quad Cortex, so I just downloaded a capture of a Noble TI and just shoved it at the very end of my chain, and it kind of the capture is quite a minimal one because it's not a particular like aggressive pedal, is it? It just does its thing nicely.
It does
Yeah.
just distort
It's like a
from time to
light bit.
time.
It's just a little bit of seasoning.
Yeah,
at the
that's
end.
it.
Yeah.
So when I was just in LA and I got to hang out with John Button, who's an amazing bass player, plays with The Who, really sound guy, really, really great player. We hung out in London, but
well,
he's very good looking,
Yeah.
great hair, etc.
bastard.
He has
Anyway.
he has a quad Cortex and a Noble, and that's again one of those show me a gig you can't do. But he also was just saying like he's kind of taking the Noble out less and less because you're just starting to be able to do these. You can do anything with kind of. It's less and less about the gear you have now. It's sort of like, okay, what are your ideas like? What's your playing like? Are you making the right choices with these millions of combinations that you possibly can? Because it's like back then, sort of good gear used to be prohibitively expensive, and now, I mean, I can't remember how much the HX Stomp is, but that's like what, 500 quid or something.
Not a silly pedal. It's
Yeah.
about 500-600 quid. Yeah,
it's like to-
like
Whereas you can, and for what you're getting, which is like almost any sound ever, and loads of customization, etc. And then, like, again, I bang on about my Eastwoods, but like my signature 5 is $999, which is, it's expensive, but in the grand scheme of guitars, what's that, 800 quid? It's like,
yeah, I mean,
That's
like
it's just a bit more expensive than a Mexican Fender, you know?
exactly.
Like,
And you can do, and I've played to, on my 4-string, on my classic 4, I've played to literal millions of people with that. So it's like you can do it with not breaking the bank. Kids ask me actually, or parents actually get in contact with me often about what should my kid who's just getting into it be getting, and then they start sending me like, should I get this £3,000 like Brazilian Babinga wood, whatever? I'm like, no.
yes. Oh,
but yes, send it to me first.
Send it me, yeah.
let me check it.
But
Yeah,
you can get,
Fedora
like,
is a great starter instrument. Absolutely.
yeah, 50% commission.
Yeah, just send me the £25,000 and I'll get it sorted for you.
If it's
Don't
not
you
a
worry.
lembic, it's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's it called? Fanfret. You
Oh, love,
you can
love a
get
fanfret.
you can get a great starter guitar for £200,
Yeah.
and it's just like,
Like, look
crack on.
Look at where we are with brands like Harley Benton now. Like
Harley Benton
let's,
is
like,
actual magic.
unreal. And also let's rewind to what year would it have been when I started playing? I was a guitarist first, then a bass player. And I started playing guitar when I was 12, which is ages ago. But even just back then, which is, we're not talking like the 70s or anything like that. You could get, this is before like Sire and Harley Benton and all that sort of stuff, but you could get like, those guitars you could buy from Argos and all that sort of stuff, and they were about 200 quid or something like that, and they
With
were
an amp
crap.
and a
And
stand.
a lead and a little stand, and they were crap,
Terrible.
like really unfixed. The necks would be just, you would never be able to intonate them, and that would be what I had to deal with as a starter guitar, and that would be that's 18 years ago. So that's in 18 years, which is not an insanely long period of time. We've now got to a point where like a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old can be bought for Christmas a starter guitar by Harley Benton or a bass for well under £200 or £300, and it's a bass that people who are, and I use this very loosely, professional like me, for example, I would go, yeah, I could do a full year's worth of work. I could tour with that bass, that and a good setup. Job done. Job done.
They've sent me loads of their basses, and I've not had a single one that's been a letdown. Really, like
yeah, they're
you
jazz.
couldn't be like for this price.
Yeah, 158 quid or something for a jazz, and I've recorded with that, and it's like, that's solid. It's actually really heavy.
I was gonna say, yeah, and that's like the biggest criticism of that bass is like, yeah, it weighs a ton, but like it's 160 quid, like nothing.
Yeah, you can't
They
complain.
weren't routing anything.
It's all in the wood. That's what they say.
It's all in the wood.
So that's the quote we want to take. That's going to be the name of this episode.
It's all in the wood.
Yeah,
done. Soft
welcome
skills.
Welcome to In the Wood.
Welcome to In the Wood. Soft skills. Title of your sex tape. Anyway.
Shay, one thing I always love about you and specifically like your content on socials and things like that is often how inspirational you are, and always giving advice or everything. It always has such a positive outlook that is also like relatable as well.
Right.
The other side of that is often what people don't hear about so much. So I wonder if is there a time where you think perhaps things weren't going so well, and how you rose above that and became this kind of like positive person that you are now, and able to give that advice? Because I feel like people that are able to give that advice have often kind of been through this and experienced things. So I want to learn a little bit about that, if that's okay.
Well, yeah, no, sure. And I want to say thank you very much for saying those things. And I feel it's definitely a privilege and something that I take very seriously. Sort of not just putting out cool content or like fun things or telling people about gigs or showing people how I do cool stuff. It's actually more about, actually, you can. Well, what we do is hard. It can take a toll. Me personally, I mean, I ended up in rehab. Like I'm going to be 6 years clean and sober in April 1st, and not to say that it was because of music, but doing what we do really can exacerbate pre-existing issues, in particular with addiction, because it's so prevalent in our industries, so accepted and actually quite glorified in many respects. So it can lead to many bad habits, and in particular, if you're always busy and you're always working, you can just keep sort of going full steam ahead and hit a brick wall before you know it. So I really, really encourage anyone, any musicians who are listening, who are watching, to check out charities like Music Supports, for example, Music Supports UK, who are made by people from the music industry for people in the music industry. If you're dealing with addiction or anything like that, you can get in contact with them and they can help you out. Or if you're a family member of someone who is, they also do support for those people as well. I've also recently done a course with them called Mental Health First Aid, which is kind of like in the same way that you do a first aid course to be like a first responder to someone who's in physical distress. It's the same thing, just learning tools to respond to someone who's in mental health distress. And if you're on a tour and sort of just notice someone starting to change and sort of going through a bit of a hard time, and just being able to approach and be a calming presence. And most importantly, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a medical professional, so that's not what I'm here to do. But it's to help someone in that moment and to signpost them to the right places. So I think I'd highly recommend people do a mental health first aid course. You can get it. There's places where you can get it for free. You can get it for free through work, and also if you're just an independent freelance musician, I think you can contact them and they can help you. But yeah, no, I think it's important, and I think like playing music professionally is hard, not just to get to a standard where people will give you consistent work, but traveling loads is. It sounds glamorous, but in particular when you're starting out and you're in sort of the back of a van and kind of sneaking people into travel lodges, do you know what I mean? Like it can be pretty sketchy.
That's stressful.
Yeah. It is. It's so sketchy. And then just also with like gear, like loading in, loading out of like horrible places and making no money, dealing with like knobheads all the time. But also your hopes and your dreams are like in this thing, and it's a really vulnerable, actually exposing place to be on stage, because you're putting yourself out there for people to potentially not care or like ridicule you, or you're going to make a mistake and you're going to be thinking about it for the rest of the time. Or actually it's going to go really, really well and you're going to feel amazing about it. And maybe the next one doesn't go so well, and maybe you're missing people at home and something happens while you're away. Also just opportunities are getting scarcer and scarcer. Now we have social media, so there's all this comparison. You maybe had you thought things were going to work out a certain way when you were a kid, and now things are working out very differently. You're maybe having to be a bit more practical and, like you say, do like weddings as opposed to doing the sort of gigs you thought you might be doing, or, you know, all of this stuff. It all boils down to it being it's a job at the end of the day. It was a hobby. So I think it makes sense that these things are hard. So don't feel bad about finding it stressful. It's stressful. But I think if you can make it work, and when it's great, it is the best. There's so many ways of doing it now. You don't have to be a, Victor Wooten style crazy bass player to make it. I just recommend anybody who's playing, get on social media and start recording yourself playing, not just on your own, but also record yourself playing with other people as well, because you need to show that to people that want to hire you that you can play with others and how you slot in with a band, and start taking it seriously, but not trying to do it like absolutely everybody else. Like, have fun with all of this because it should be fun. You kind of need to have a hobby. Like, you need to do something other than music as well. Like, you can't just only do this. That's also going to drive you up the wall. But yeah, those are some of my thoughts and some of my feelings about these things.
Yeah, dude, but I think you rounded up that perfectly. And social media can be, and we said a little bit before we hit record, such a comparison game. You think, well, why has that person got this and why can't I have that? And they don't work that hard. You haven't seen that, behind the scenes and all that turmoil and toughness. And that's why whenever I see someone like, being successful, I know what they've been through or I try and take myself out of it and think, no, they've gone through a lot to get to where they are. And, and some people diminish that. Like, I always think of the example when you pay for a plumber and you hire them for they go and fix your toilet because you've absolutely destroyed it. And rock and roll. And it takes like 5 minutes and they're like, oh, what? Man, I could have done that. Well, I'm going to pay you how much because it took you that long? It's like, yeah, but you haven't seen all the years of learning I've had to do to get to this point.
It's taken me 20 years to know how to do that in 5 minutes. It's like the Lionel Messi quote where he's like, what's the Lionel Messi quote? I'm an 18-year overnight success. It's something like that, because I think he was 18 when he got signed or whatever, and it's like, I'm an overnight success who's been working. Just no one noticed me until now.
Bringing it back to music, you think of like modern examples, Sabrina Carpenter, Chapel Roan,
Chapel Roan,
such overnight successes, and it's like, no, they've been. It takes 10 years to become an overnight success, Like,
even that Fiona who sang Messi, in fact, after posting that video, her bass player contacted me, which was really, really sweet. But I was like, oh, I didn't realize how long she'd been knocking about. I was like, oh, how long you been playing with her? He said 4 years. I was like, rah, she's been about, and people only see it now. So big up to anybody who puts themselves out there and anyone who has a go at doing this. And also, I do want to say, there's nobility in paying your bills no matter how you pay them. So no gig is beneath you. If you're able to look after yourself and your loved ones and meet your responsibilities, it does not matter whether you have to take a shift at a pub. Doesn't matter whether you have to do gigs that you maybe don't think are amazing. Just get it done. Work out how you're going to do the thing that you really want to do, but look after yourself. Don't quit your job in a rage, and just try and make it work. Have a plan, and work hard. There's room enough for all of it.
No notes. Very well said. Couldn't agree more.
Damn. Very well said. And very well podcasted, my friend. That brings us to the end of our episode. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been
my pleasure.
There's so much I've personally taken away from this conversation. I hope the people at home have done so as well. So if you're at home listening, and drop us a comment down below for sure. Now, before we do sign off, we do have to put you through your paces and with some quick fire questions. Sure. These are one-word answers, no elaborating. These are the real quick fires. We had the ones at the start. They were a warm-up. Now
they're long fire.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anything longer than a one-word answer will result in an end of the episode and a deletion of the file. And I get your gig with Damon. So anyway, right.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. That was you didn't care until then, did you? I'm kidding. Jonny, do you want to go first?
I would flipping love to.
That autofocus then. I was like, oh, come on.
Wow.
No.
Like a jet.
Amazing.
One. Question number 1. Pick or fingers?
Fingers.
Question number 2. Active or passive?
Passive.
Number 3. Rounds or flats?
Flats.
Ooh. Number 4. 4-string or 5-string?
4 string.
Number 5, in-ear monitors or wedges?
In ears.
Number 6, P or J?
J.
Number 7, desert island bass.
Eastwood Classic 4.
I just realised, Chris, that can't be a one-word answer, can it?
No, that, yeah, sorry.
Just bass.
Podcast over. Right, number 8.
Bass.
Yeah, just bass. Number 8. What's the best bass effect?
Compression.
Very nice, very nice.
Nice. Number 9, nearly at the end. We've nearly done this. What is your unpopular bass opinion?
Sans amps are overrated.
Oh, he's right, but whoa!
It's a dagger to my heart.
Soz guys.
Grow up, Johnny.
I don't know why they are so popular, but I kind of find them kind of bland, personally.
Well,
Yeah. Soz.
well,
Come at
see you later,
in the
guys.
comments.
Please do. We'd love the engagement. Thank you. All right. I mean, I agree. Only because I've not got one. Number 10. Right. Question before I actually asked number 10. Do you like Star Wars?
Yes.
Great. Question number 10. Just refuse to elaborate. Question number 10. What Star Wars character would be the best bass player?
So I think Chewbacca.
You are allowed
would
to
be
elaborate.
pretty-
Yeah.
Yeah. Chewbacca, I think, would be a really cool bass player. I actually reckon he'd be in a band like Motorhead or something. He'd be like a Ricky, like really gnarly sort of
For a guitar amp. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like a Wookiee size.
Murder one. Chewy
Yeah.
one.
Chewy
his
one.
bass is normally nearly on the floor, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like Chris Novoselic. Rickenbacker
Kashyyyk.
down by his knees.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
trying to think of
Kashyyyk,
like what's what I think
Kashyyyk-a-baka.
Yeah, Kashyyyk-a-baka.
Yeah.
Kashyyyk-a-baka.
And if you tell him you don't like his tone, he rips your arms off.
The Chewbacca. I mean, the Chewbacca backer, you know.
The Chewbacca
Chewbacca.
The Chewbacca. Chewie's a good shout. We've had Ian Martin Allison said Mace Windu, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
He said
bass.
on the bass would be purple and would have bad motherfucker on the back of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was just Googling.
The strings would be like neon.
Yeah. Neon pink. Yeah. Neon purple. Sorry, purple. Good lord. Can't get that wrong.
I was just Googling sweaty Chewbacca just because I imagined him
I've seen that
at a
website.
gig. Like, yeah, and I'm kind of disappointed with the results, I'm not going to lie. I was expecting some kind of fan art, but there's nothing that's come up that's been...
Mate,
that's
you're
piqued
just
my
on the wrong
interest.
part of the internet. I bet there's a lot of content.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Well, I'll find it.
Yeah.
I'm going to write that hashtag later.
Absolutely. If you want to get this podcast demonetized, share your screen now.
Well,
Chewie's a good shout. Chewie's a very good shout. I totally agree. Me and Johnny for a long time had an argument of whether it would be Boba Fett or Jango Fett would make a better bass player.
Ooh,
I
that's
thought
good.
Jango Fett because I thought he was a good team player, but then he stuck his head over the line quite literally and got it cut off. So, like any good bass player, got the shit kicked out of him in the car park after the kick.
That's pretty good.
He's done. He's
Pretty
done.
good. This is the way.
Well,
This is the way.
we are killing it today, boys. Dude, you've made it straight to the end. We did it. Congratulations. You put up with us for an hour and a bit. We are going to sign things off now before we head over to our Patreon section, where Shay's going to be answering your questions at home that you have submitted.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Anytime you want to come back, let's do it.
Yeah, I will. I'll be back for sure.
Amazing. Thank you everyone so much for watching. If you are watching, please subscribe to us on YouTube and like this video and leave a comment, all that good stuff. You know what to do. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you rate this podcast 5 stars. Can you do a star shape now for 5 stars? Rate it 5 predator faces.
Rate it 5 face huggers.
Yeah.
Wait, almost.
That one. Oh,
Hey,
wow.
that's really good. 5 star. Well, if we all do it, that's 3 stars. It's not quite.
Wow,
not quite the same,
blimey. I'm just going to do
That's
John
good.
Cena. I'll
Yeah.
do John Cena while you... Yeah.
Can't see him.
You can't see me.
Just disappear.
But we do want to see your reviews on our platforms. So rate it 5 stars. It helps something to do with algorithms to help us reach more lovely people just like yourselves. Shay, before we sign off, what have you got going on in your life? Where can people find you on the internet?
Everything, just find me at Share Music, so SEYE Music, and you can find all sorts of all the links to my music and my newsletter and all the things from there. Yeah, I spend a lot of time on Instagram. What have I got coming up? So my song Fire Escape is out. I'm currently working on just finishing touches on my next single, which hopefully is going to be out in March. I've got a gig next week with the Zealots on the 26th at a place called, I think, Hopscotch in Crystal Palace, which is going to be fun. So like they play a set and then like for 45 minutes, and then I come on for 45 minutes and I play my songs but with their band. So it should be quite fun.
Cool.
To see how that goes down. So yeah, I think Wednesday 26th I'm going to be playing there. And a bunch of other fun little things coming out this year. But hopefully an EP will come out later this year of my stuff. And I'm just going to keep trying to build what I do and keep inspiring bass players and songwriters and just people to be their best selves in general.
Hell yeah.
That's a good mission statement.
Amen.
Chris, where can people find you?
You can find me literally everywhere under That Guy on Bass. Nice and simple.
Beautiful. For myself, it is just at Jonny Dibble on YouTube and on Instagram. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
This is the way.
This is the way.